Hi, Janet Kelsey here with The Real Deal. My husband Phil and I have been bidding and participating in the Courthouse foreclosure sales for many years. In this 3-part video series, we are going to start you at square one. Phil is going to talk about how we zero in on the right property on the county foreclosure list to bid on and to avoid losses and other major headaches. This is a 3-part discussion, so be sure to watch each one. So here is Phil to start the discussion.
I think what I want you to take away here is that if the plaintiff is somebody you have never heard of, then that's when you might want to get concerned, because again, the worst horror stories I've seen have been from hard equity lenders or small private placements, private equity companies that are buying paper or lending money, and those I've seen some horror stories because you figure they're not doing a lot of volume. They don't have a relationship with attorney perhaps in this area, so they just simply hire an attorney, and the attorney can make mistakes and you can suffer for it. So the first risk I want you to look at is look at that plaintiff, because it may not, you want to shy away from the smaller. If you haven't heard the plaintiff, then you might want to shy away and go on. And I want to repeat myself. My strategy is not to say that I'm going to catch, that this is a 100% that I'm going to catch. Well, actually, the other way around. I believe that I want to catch. I'm willing to suffer false positives in order to not suffer the other way around. In other words, that the larger the entity, the better. I'm also fine with the payment processing services that you'll see, the larger ones. They also have had a lot of experience in foreclosures and generally don't make mistakes. Another item that you want to consider, and it will be on, we had talked about the homeowner associations also being, or the condo association also being a potential plaintiff, and that's a special sale to me. The condo and homeowner associations likewise will foreclose and have the right to foreclose if they do not receive their homeowner association dues. And this is a contractually obligated amount that the owner of the property must pay as a condition of purchasing the house. And so about 20% of the time, 20% of the sales I look at are actually the owners association foreclosing, and that's a very special sale, and I'm going to dedicate a video to speaking about that. But for the purposes of this video, I generally try to avoid that. It's thought to be a high risk type of transaction, type of sale. However, as a percentage of appraised value that on average these sales result in, they are extremely low, and if you can manage the risk, they potentially can be extremely profitable. I found that when it comes to sales that are brought forth to foreclosure on single-family homes and it's brought by a bank, that I'm generally looking between 70 and 75% loan, that the sales price will ultimately end up somewhere in that area, maybe a little lower on average. of the appraised value, and again, I use Zillow as the appraised value. The owners association, homeowners and condo associations, they're quite a bit lower, more like around 25%. And so these amazing stories that you hear about being able to buy a real estate on pennies on the dollar actually are true, because in those owner association sales, I see them going for as low as 5% of the appraised value. So they're going for literally pennies on the dollar, and I've tracked many of them, and the title is actually transferring. So the person who's bidding, it's real. It's not just a myth to get you to pay some tuition or class fees. It is actually happening where they're paying just pennies on the dollar for these properties. However, not everything that glitters is gold, and the catch to that is that the condo association, the home association, generally does not notice in the court case, does not name the first mortgage holder as a defendant. So a lot of times people unwittingly, I read their motions, and I read their what happens in the docket subsequent to the sale, and people will buy these properties and they're perhaps very excited. They've got a very good deal, and they pay say 50% of the appraised value, and they bid that thing up, and then you see that the reality set in, that they realize a few days after the sale, or maybe a few weeks after the sale, that they don't own what they thought they did. They do in fact own the property, but there's still a first mortgage on it, so they don't have the equity that they want. And the equity in a property is basically what the property's worth minus what is owed on it. So if they buy these properties for pennies on the dollar, then find out that there's a first mortgage for at or greater than the value of the property is worth, then all they do is just bought themselves a problem. And to add insult to injury, if they pay an exorbitantly large amount, then many times the owner of the property will apply for the excess amount over what the judgment amount was that the homeowner association is going to receive. But again, I don't want to go too far into that. That's going to be the subject of another video. I avoid these type of sales, and I don't know that I always will, because they're tempting, but it's a risk that I'm kind of looking at to see if it can be, if the risk can be properly addressed. But I have seen where people have bought these properties, and there was no first mortgage, that the owner was out of country or for whatever reason not paying attention, which I don't know if I'd feel good about taking advantage of someone like that. But regardless, looking at those sales, they have purchased these properties, and then I see motions coming from the previous owner requesting the judge to reverse the sale, claiming ignorance and that they were not aware of what was going on. Regardless where you stand on that, it's a minority set of times that you do strike gold like that, but it does occur. I just not sure how you can manage knowing whether you have that mortgage on there. And the very, again, subject for another video, but the act of transferring the title to a third-party individual from the original owner to the bidder would trigger the due on sale clause that was most certainly would be in the original buyer's mortgage, and so the bank would then subsequently foreclose if they're not in the process of foreclosing already. And I've seen it happen where many times the bank will go ahead and foreclose, and now they're foreclosing on both the prior owner and the bidder. And again, there's a lot more to it. If you're thinking about getting that type of sale, it's very risky. I don't see a lot of people I watch a lot of people do it, but I don't see a lot of people coming back and doing it for a second time. Just a handful of people have done it more than 3 or 4 times that I've observed. But at any rate, don't want to get too much on that, but I go through, and if you look at my spreadsheet used as a stencil, I have a quick way of looking at the properties or the plaintiffs, and if there are anything that any of them have the words owners association or otherwise indicate that the property is that the plaintiff is an owners association, then I am out. I don't even want to bid. It's just not what I'm looking to do right now. And again, you may decide to take that risk if you can manage it. Take a lot of research, but you would
So there you go. Try these steps and remember, practice makes perfect. And join us next week or click on the link below for the next video in this series. And remember to like and subscribe so you don't miss our next informative video. I'm Janet Kelsey from The Real Deal. See you real soon.